Let's fucking do this. Here we go.
Now recording.
All right, we're on.
Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Verbal Laxative. I'm Jason.
Since
I'm Hassan.
sorry.
Okay.
Fuck, we fucked up.
Nice guys. Nice.
Yeah, you go.
Wait. Brian?
Okay.
Let's do it
I'm
again.
Jason.
Let's do it again.
Rip.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Verbal Laxative. I'm Jason.
I'm Hassan.
Simpson.
Brian.
And today we got a special guest with us, our friend Phil. Phil, friend of the show. How are you doing, Phil?
Hi guys, glad to be here.
Jesus. All right. I hope your audio is a lot better than that. Phil, if you can't tell, he is on the road right now because he didn't have the enough respect to find a quiet place to record. Oh my god. Yeah, let us know when you're parked and shit, hey?
It sounded like he tried to say something.
Yeah.
You still with us?
No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. You know, it's can't just do this from home anymore.
That is absolutely not true. You can definitely just do this from home.
That's what all of us are doing.
Anyways, yeah, this is welcome to our special episode filled with technical glitches, maximum amount of just audio warbling and whatnot. But hopefully you'll hang out with us. We'll have some fun and chill. So Phil, you are the resident American here. What's going on? What's going on in your country right now? Dead.
Oh.
Dead.
Wait,
Completely
Wait,
dead.
put him on
He's
the
already
spot.
fucking gone.
Is he currently living
is-
in
So
America?
it's totally like
Dead again.
It's totally.
I mean, it's actually not that bad over here, despite like what I hear in the news.
If we're basing it on your audio quality,
Am
it
I
sounds fucking
robot?
terrible.
Just to clarify, if you're comfortable with it, would you mind saying at least like what state you're in or something?
Am I a robot?
Nice. Okay,
We'll have to wait
that
for-
clarifies things.
I think it's probably internet issues. We'll have to wait for Phil to park, I think.
In the meantime,
God fucking damn it! I thought it was already bad that I have to hear you washing dishes at home, Brian. But this is
yeah, we'll
another
give
level.
Phil a few minutes, like about 10-20 minutes.
You know-
in the meantime,
Have you ever thought of creating a stream where you just film yourself working? Because like, there's a guy named Michael Reeves, and he had a stream where all he does is program, and he got like pretty good number of views for just working.
if it wasn't for COVID, I would not know who the hell you're talking about.
Oh
But
God,
because
you know.
I've been watching so much Twitch and stuff lately, I actually know who you're talking about.
Yeah, see? And so me washing dishes, think of it like a podcast where the audience could just hear me washing dishes.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's not
okay,
the
dude,
audio
that-
aspect of it. That's interesting.
You can just make your own spin-off podcast if you want of just washing dishes.
It's just the 20-minute audio of me washing dishes.
Well, because people
talking to
do
my
like
girlfriend.
IRL streams on Twitch and stuff, and they
Yeah.
just do whatever, like even just
Yeah.
walk around, and even people that actually just sit at a desk and work, like you don't even get to see what's on their screen. People stream that, and people
Yeah.
watch.
Exactly. I was thinking of, yeah, we could totally do that. And like napping and stuff. Well, that might be strange. Then people could watch you
Yeah,
sleep.
but we don't do video. So are you saying we should do video, or that you should do video?
It depends on our viewership.
Whatever.
Phil said he's a fan of the podcast, at least the last episode. So maybe he'd watch you.
Just watch me eat, watch me wash dishes.
Yeah, just your everyday life. Do 24/7 stream.
How does
Be
one?
the Truman Show then,
Yeah, exactly. It'll be Truman Show, except not very good.
Yeah,
except
if you're
you
aware of
would
it
know
too.
that you're not.
How do you not? How do you not like? How do you not like kill yourself if if, after watching that for a whole week? Just Brian just sitting at home. What?
Do you think people would actually watch a real Truman Show?
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
we
to the
kind
extent
of
that
do
people
already.
did in that movie?
I mean,
'Cause
don't
it's like-
we?
People were obsessed with it.
Aren't we watching like shitty reality TVs
Yes.
and that's
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're all
Equivalent.
aware that they're on it. So they're playing it up and like doing extravagant things. But would people watch like a normal dude just live his life without knowing that he's being watched?
I think that would be hard to do in today's day and age.
Yes, people would
Yeah,
want to watch it.
it's
Though.
it's unethical, but people would watch it
Yeah.
because you see prank videos, and prank videos is also like people aren't in on the prank, right?
But half
So-
those prank videos are staged anyway. Like, I mean,
The-
they are in on the
And
prank.
also there's the
stage
subject of
ones
the
are the
prank.
more ethical
Something is
ones.
happening to them that's interesting.
Yeah.
You're not watching a dude like wash his dishes or take a nap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people will watch it. It sucks to say. It's depressing to say, but there definitely people will watch this shit.
But if you think of like even gamers as streamers, like people wouldn't have thought that people would watch other people play video games, even if they're not good, right?
Yeah, of course, but that's even them doing something. It's depressing, but you can literally. I imagine people will watch someone just napping.
Yeah,
Not a
like
problem.
Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, a really big YouTuber. He started with just doing random stuff like counting 1 to 1,000,000 and recording himself counting, or taking deep breaths or something like that. Like really random stuff, and that's how he built his audience.
It would be. You know
Wonder how
what?
much money gets paid.
I'm sorry.
Wonder how much money gets paid for that.
I don't know, but he's super rich because in his recent videos, all he does is buy private island or give money to homeless, things like that.
It's like all the tech reviewers too. A lot of them started from like nothing. They just review whatever that they have, and then now companies just give them free stuff for them to review.
Yeah, like Mark Lee Brownlee.
him,
He started like a kid, right? And his videos used to be like home videos, and he just talks about
Yeah,
random things. And
he started in the school, and now he has like a freaking Tesla. He's got like probably hundreds of phones by now.
yeah, and he like even talked to Elon Musk. He's he's an industry hit. So
They're all exceptions, though. You know,
they
Like,
are exception to the rules.
for
Certainly.
everyone that's successful, you got like
Yeah,
10,000
they're like
that didn't make it.
They're like the top, not only 1%, but like top 0.1%.
So, did you guys hear the last podcast? I'm not sure if you and
Nope.
Hassan. Okay,
Obviously
so
not.
I hear good things though.
me and Zinzin, there's a section where we talked about religion, and I was thinking about it again, and I was wondering, can a cult be promoted to an accepted religion?
Yes, absolutely.
It's happened already.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking like, because I want to create a religion that can be believed by humans, animals, and robots, kind of like in Star Wars. Like when you think of the Force, like it's so universal.
Wait, what the
right?
fuck do you mean it's gonna be believed by animals?
And robots.
like- Like any being can adopt it. Like, cause like if you think of Christianity, it's only really for people, right? But I would like to create one where other things can believe in it.
Yeah, pretty much every
How would
religion
you
is,
do that,
is
though?
for people. there's, no,
But you're-
there's no like
I don't
fucking
know.
religion dogs follow and shit.
Yeah, how would you know if a dog believes in God?
Well, I'm not sure, but that's my idea. Is like I would like to create one where you can have other followers, like not just people, but like robots. Or
What?
How
How?
would
What?
you know
animals.
that they believe in
Yeah,
it?
you can just have it right now. You can just pretend everybody follows you.
Yeah, you could just write a program and just say like, oh, believes in whatever religion.
because like my other idea is like, how do we? If you create a cult, how do you turn it into a business to make it a religion so that you can gain income without paying taxes?
Before you even get
Yeah.
there, how are you?
Dogs don't pay subscription fees, so
Yeah.
you're never gonna get dogs on.
Why are you incorporating animals in the
It's
first
always
place?
gonna be humans. Even if you want to make it a business, it's always only gonna be humans.
Well-
The robots can't pay money.
The thing I like, it's the thing is like inspirational from Star Wars. Like in the Force, wasn't there like the Jedi's were like not just humans, but they're like aliens. There's like monsters. There's like wasn't there one like a robot too? He had like 4 arms.
Yeah,
He was
they're-
like a general.
yeah, but that's fucking make believe. How are you gonna make animals believe you in real life, though?
I guess I would have to breed ones that believe in the religion.
So
How
okay,
would
so
you do that?
forget even about the religion. How are you gonna breed like sentient high IQ animals? I feel like
They
you're
don't
gonna.
need to be sentient.
I feel like you're gonna be long gone before you even get to the next step of inviting them to your religion. That first step when you try to get intelligent animals.
How would you get an animal, like any animal, to even believe certain things?
Okay, I can see the animal being
A big obstacle
an obstacle. Okay, let's forget
to your
about the
dreams.
animals.
Yeah, you
We'll just
should
get
have.
Like, you could-
humans.
you could
We'll
train-
just get humans and technology.
No, let's talk about the fucking animals because you
You
had
could
this
train
idea.
like a dog or something to like go towards a Bible or something.
Try to preach
But
to a
that's
bunch of
probably as
dolphins.
close as I could see.
Why did you?
Yeah, you could Pavlov them. Yeah.
Why would you couldn't figure out yourself that the animals are a big problem here? You can't. You just thought, hey, it'd be cool if I had fucking animals and shit following me, like have a frog as my
Beastmaster?
pastor.
You just get a bunch of animals that start liking bearded dudes walking on the street.
I can't believe you're just stone cold sober and you're thinking of all this.
Well, we don't know for sure he's
Wait.
sober.
Yeah, are you?
I'm sober. Yeah.
Oh, you
Okay.
can bet
Well,
your house
there
is
goes
sober.
the saving grace.
Well, there's a thing where if you're like I don't drink alone because I don't want to be an alcoholic. So I would only drink socially with other people.
So what are you saying? You're saying that that's the same with drugs? You just do heroin socially if everyone else is shooting up?
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you do it alone, then you might be an addict. If
Oh,
you're
okay.
doing it socially, then you're not.
The casual heroin druggie. Yeah, I only shoot up, but only, like on birthday parties and shit.
Yeah, man. Like there's a show called
parties.
Mr. Robot, and when he takes drug, he always has medicine for him so that he doesn't get addicted, right?
Uh-huh.
I think he takes morphine, but he also has a side medicine that so he doesn't get addicted. So and he always map out like how much he takes, so that he never he doesn't abuse the substance. Even though technically, yeah, I suppose he is.
You know what? You might have some people that can control it, but with heroin, I don't think it's very few.
But like that's I think when you think of like drug dealers, part of their responsibility is to keep their clientele alive, right? So they always have to be careful how much they spike the heroin.
I don't know. Like for definitely those guys out there right now. Like if some people die, you still got more coming towards you. So there's a high turnover, I guess.
Well, I don't know how much drug dealers care about their clientele.
Yeah, you're not getting like rewards and shit. Rewards.
Well,
for
your reward
loyalty.
is they're a returning customer. You don't want to kill your customers.
But there's so many people like if a couple like druggies die from ODing, I don't think like it's not like the quarterly profit of the drug dealer will fall significantly. They'd be
Yeah,
oh
it's like
man.
one approach to you're not gonna like, or I wouldn't expect a drug dealer to be like, no man, I think you've got enough there.
Yeah. And definitely
then
drug
when you-
dealers never have an oversupply problem, You're never going to get a problem of supply. I mean like you're never going to get a problem of demand, so like you're never going to get oversupply. But
I do
anyways,
think.
yeah, go ahead,
Right.
say what you're going to
Well,
say.
the other thing is you're competing with other dealers, right? So if you do have deaths that happen, people are going to talk, and then you might you might get a bad reputation if people are dying.
Yeah,
taking
but
yours.
you see
product.
People are really looking up Yelp reviews for a freaking drug dealer though.
I think what is the black market's Yelp? I'm sure there's ones that have reviews and stuff when you're trying to buy drugs. People have reputation, right?
Sure. Yeah. Fucking whatever. I don't know.
How do you make money on those too? Because you can't. It's not like you can't find advertisers.
Well, I guess it's word of mouth.
But I would think you would make an app for it because the world runs on apps now, right? So
Yeah, but
Yeah, you just have to put in text like, "Hey, no cops allowed" or something.
yeah. And if you're a cop, you know you have to obey that text.
Yeah. You have to be like, "Damn it, we can't get them on this."
yeah, remember when we were kids and when you play StarCraft, there's always like the beginning's like 5 minute no
Yeah,
rush
no
kind of
rush.
thing?
Yeah.
And everyone just like follows that rule, even though it's kind of idiotic.
And then- See, yeah, the cops will be the guy that doesn't follow that rule. They will be rushing. They will.
Those
do
are the
worker
renegade
rush.
cops that you see in movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, hey, we have the truce here.
Back to your shit though. About your religion. Okay, so if you're gonna
Yeah.
forgo the animals, what are you gonna do? What?
Well, my idea is that you make it like a business where you
So
get a
you-
bunch of followers, you start it as a cult, then you promote it to a religion, so that you're
But your goal for this is basically you want to make money out of it. It's not out of any kind of spiritual, spiritual like focus or some kind of like big picture humanitarian focus or something like that, or even power. You just want this as a business. This appeals to you as a business model.
I think as a
First and
business makes sense because you don't pay taxes, and that's a huge incentive.
So you just like the whole spirituality and stuff and all that jazz, and that's completely secondary. You want to
He's
look
just
at this
thinking
as
of it a money-making scheme.
profit business venture.
It's a profit deal, yeah.
All right, I wonder.
Well, how does religion start? Isn't it start with profit though?
I don't know. Well, it's definitely different. It's not like you're going to a bank and you're trying to get a loan and you say, "So I have this idea. I'm gonna make a religion."
Well, because the other thing I was thinking of is you just
A religion
piggyback
where,
off-
mind you, fucking animals will be following me, Mr.
'Cause- yeah.
Bankster.
We already have millions of followers.
Because my other
the
thought
deer
is a
and
lot
the
of
dogs.
religion piggyback off of other religion, right? Like, what's the one with Saint Latter Days? That's the
That's
Mormon.
Mormons, or is that
Like,
Jehovah's
isn't that
Witness? Or no,
isn't that
that should be
piggy-
Mormons. Either one of them. They're the
Yeah,
same
Mormons. But aren't they picking back off of Christianity? Like,
yeah,
they're
pretty-
using the
they-
same figure.
Shit. Yeah, we'll get into more of that. But first, let's see if Phil's back now. Phil, can you hear us?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Finally,
That's
crystal clear audio. Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm so
You know,
happy.
good. Oh, that's good.
The wife needed fruits. So
No,
I
that's-
have to go get fruits.
That's fine.
that
It's
makes
all
sense.
it's all Brian's fault, anyways. He should have replied you with the time.
Yo, so Brian, aren't you proposing like Buddhism? Like, isn't that the religion that encompasses all like living entities?
Oh yeah. That's a good one. Well,
But I
living entities. I was thinking of also including robots too. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
not-
like rocks and trees and stuff. But I feel like you really don't want a religion. You're just looking for like a tax haven.
Business. He's looking for a
I'm just looking
tax-free
for-
business.
I'm looking for
Profits.
a business. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those.
Because we
question is-
talked about it before because we were talking about flat Earth and like selling things to prevent 5G and things like that. How you can make money off of that. But religion just makes sense too, because like a lot of the work has been done by existing religion. Because if you could just piggyback off of it and just do slight alterations, it will sound believable because it's based on stuff that people believe in anyways. And then all you have to do is just add more to it or expand it in a certain way, and then yeah, it will look legit.
But I think like it feels like you're saying the hard part of religion is selling the story, but I think the hard part of religion is getting the followers.
Yeah, that is the
So
main
like,
thing.
yeah,
Like,
you can make whatever story, but how is a million people gonna follow you?
Right. So
it's much more easier right now if you try to have your hand at a fucking startup and go on Dragon's Den and try to get one of those fuckers to give you some money.
how is social media with religion? Like, can
Not
you
very good.
promote the word through TikTok?
I think if you're trying to promote religion through social media right now, I think you're gonna get chewed out right now. It doesn't
'Cause,
seem
like-
very friendly towards like startup
Yeah.
religions.
How like Falun
Get a
Gong,
bunch of
would
hot
they
chicks
be-
and stuff, then you
That's
might
different.
get some people following, but they wouldn't be for the religion. It'll just be for the pictures or
Yo,
videos
but then
or
again, unless he has like
Mhm.
fucking 10 sisters that are smoking hot, that'll just do it for him just because he's here. He's their dear brother. He's gonna need to find some way to fucking employ a whole bunch of like hot Instagram fucking influencers to try to promote his shitty animal loving, like animal inclusion religion.
You're gonna get a bunch of furries following you.
It sounds
Shit,
like you want to
man.
do fire festival for religion.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but he's gonna get some.
Well, it would be like a Falun Gong kind of thing, like
Oh god.
that's kind of how I would see it. Like how successful would you consider a Falun Gong?
They're successful
religion
because
type
of
business.
they're successful because of the political stuff. You're not gonna get that with you. You're better off just doing like Scientology, literally. You know,
Hmm
I mean,
Well, for Scientology, if you get someone famous, like really famous, like they got Tom Cruise, then you could build a following off of that.
but that's the closest thing you got. That guy is literally the founder was literally just like what, a science fiction author, and he just made a religion out of it, grinded that shit. So maybe that would be your business template.
Yeah,
He didn't even benefit from it though, right?
I think I don't know. During his time, I think he got enough. He got enough out of it, but, he certainly died before it became like super big and shit. But he had enough. I think he had enough perks out of it during his life.
That's what I was gonna say. It doesn't make sense, like, to make money off of it. Like, if you're actually gonna start a religion, you're not the guy who's gonna make money off of it. It might be if it gets established, 10, 20, 50 years down the road, somebody else might, but
Yeah.
it's not that likely
so
that
who gets the money for like say Mormons and Catholic Church? Like, does the Pope get out of it? Is he the one claiming up the riches?
I think he gets.
What-
It's not like
Paid well.
yeah, it's not like the teeth that you pay in the Catholic Church. He gets like a percentage cut of it. I don't think it exactly works like that. But the Vatican does have a lot more centralized the resources coming to them.
It's like the
Yeah,
head
but like
office.
who rules the bank for the Vatican?
Oh,
I
you
guess?
know, I think the Vatican even has their own bank. You can't compare yourself to the Catholics because they have they have hundreds upon hundreds of years of actually being an institution,
Yeah.
right? So you're gonna have
Oh.
to you can't model yourself off of that. You gotta model yourself off of Scientology, and then you're not gonna
So-
get rich. It's gonna be the guy, your David Miscavige after that's gonna
How about this?
reap the
How about
rewards
this?
from
You
your
start up
shit
a
religion.
startup religion. Can you get consumed by it, like get bought out, kind of like a company buys out another company? Can the Catholic absorb your?
No, because you're basically fucking heathens to them.
that's not gonna happen.
They would hate you.
We don't want these trees and
Yeah,
dogs.
some Wahhabist sect of Islam out there in like the boonies of Saudi Arabia, they'd want to like cut off your head or some shit. They would hate you. They're not gonna buy you out. None of these
Well-
religions are gonna buy you out.
In a way, the Catholics did buy out the Christians, though, right?
No, they had a big, almost like a civil war falling out back then. It was especially like because the Protestants they started to gather more like followers because at the time they were a lot more forgiving than the Catholic Church was, right? They would let they would allow women to read, they would allow people to do a lot more stuff than the Catholic Church allowed. So a lot more people fled to all these different branches of Protestantism. And then what happened was it erupted into actual war, right? So you got like the Reformation and the Counter-Reformation in Europe. And during this time that there was is just basically all out war, and it descended into such a point where, in the beginning it may have been like Catholic and Protestant related. At the end, it was just basically free for all, and everybody's just fucking murdering each other and just like pillaging and raping each other. So yeah, they didn't buy out anything. They just started hacking each other to fucking to death.
Good times.
Yeah, not a business model at all.
But that's how you buy out companies back in the day, right? You just go over there and take it.
No.
Not with wallets, but with guns and
Yeah, with
guns,
guns
yeah.
and murder and like fucking wars. Nah, man.
you
like,
know.
yeah, I would. You know what? I fully. As with always with all your ideas, even the most shittiest ones, I fully support you. I want you to do all of these things and record it for us.
So, so now that we're talking about buyouts, that's something that seems to be lost, or not lost. Sorry, that's something that seems like everyone who starts up a startup wants to happen to them. Like when you look at investors, when you're just saying like, "Oh, my company's going to be the next Facebook," they're not interested in that. But if you tell them like, "Hey, my company is going to get bought up by Facebook," then they're interested. Because like companies like Google, Amazon, they got to a point where they're so big that
Oh, yeah.
there's no reasonable way of competing with them.
Yeah.
And now everyone is just wanting to get bought out.
Oh yeah,
And-
definitely. That's what it looks like. We're at the later stage, right? Especially with
Yeah,
like
but like
the
oh,
beverage
sorry.
game, like Pepsi and Coke. That's
Coke,
it.
yeah.
And then they're just gonna buy up anything else that comes up, right?
But US, weren't they known for breaking up big companies like the oil company?
Of
What was
course.
that oil?
Standard
Yeah,
Oil. They broke up Standard Oil.
Yeah, they broke them up. But like companies like Amazon, it doesn't make sense that they own AWS and a grocery store, or Amazon and AWS shouldn't exist together because they're not even the same industry.
Remember,
Like one's like a cloud service and one's delivering packages, right?
Lots of companies in multiple industries doesn't mean that they're just stuck in
Right,
it.
but
It's not just
that's
Amazon.
a problem. They shouldn't be.
and you're also
We-
looking at it just by services, but like
Mhm.
there's big umbrella companies. You look at General Electric and what they own and everything, right? It's not
Yeah.
just one industry; it's multiple industries under one umbrella.
Right, and I think that's what's ruining this free capitalism is that we allow these companies being unchecked, and they get so big that they control more than the government can control.
Yeah, but that's by
not
design.
ruining capitalism.
That's-
that's making capitalism. That's the definition.
Yeah, that's
of
letting it run. That's what happens when you let it run.
That's letting capitalism flourish. Like that is what capitalism is.
Yeah.
You
Did
keep
you
on
have a way
going for
to
as long as
combat that?
Well,
Or you would have to break them up.
earlier on, yeah, the government had to come in to kind of break it up, but it is a historical kind of condition to be considered, because the government of today, and especially the way the production and everything's managed today, is a lot different than you did when there was a lot of big monopoly busting activity going on, right? So like even the balance and just how everything is, or the social organizations from now, because we're much more advanced and much more like decades into it. It's different. Like you can tell that now they're more interested in kind of like managing monopolies and shit instead of breaking them up, right?
Yeah.
When was the last time we broke up a big company? It was like Microsoft or whatever in the 2000s, I guess, in the late 90s, 2000s. But now you got companies that are many times what Microsoft's valuation and reach was already, but they're not. There's no interest in kind of breaking them up, right?
No, it seems like the interest is to make them bigger. Like these industry are just, or these companies are just gonna gobble up the world, right? Because like what is Google not in, right? They have their hands everywhere,
Yeah,
right? And it's scary.
yeah, and
What's your problem with it though, Brian? What's the problem with like a company having everything?
Well, for the consumer, it's not great because you won't get
What?
competitive pricing.
But competitive pricing is not always better than the most optimal pricing, right?
What do you mean by optimal pricing?
So, like, if you had, instead of like Google giving you all your services, okay, so instead of like Google collecting your data and giving you like Gmail for free, right? Because email used to cost money. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't just like sign up for free email. You'd have to like run it out of your own server, connect to the internet, all that jazz.
Yep.
Then like Hotmail was free, and then Google was free, and then now it eventually got to the point where like all email is free. But would you rather it be like a competitive state where you'd have to pay more for every service because things are not optimized, or or have it centrally controlled by a large company and they could collect your data. But the offset is you get convenience and you get it cheaper.
But you see,
Yeah.
if we're
But I
gonna play
think what
devil's
you're saying
advocate,
is-
well, if we
'cause
play
what you're-
devil's advocate for the capitalists, you say you're let's say one is a advocate of capitalism, they would argue that the optimization of the price or whatever your service, your bang for your buck, comes from directly from the competition. So, in your example, when Google used to whichever these big, text whatever email providers, when Google was giving out like Gmail and stuff, okay, maybe you had to pay back then, but then your competitor would be like, oh, well, you know what? You have to pay for Google, you don't have to pay for ours. So then slowly, like that, more people are gravitating over there. And then all the other ones, just by, competition, they'd say, okay, well, let's do that and try to get more of the fucking market share from them. So then there was this competition that drives it, right? And it is true, in the capitalist system, this is what drives it. It is the competition that is supposed to drive all the cost-saving measures, right? And all the productivity measures in it itself. That's the way it's supposed to work. If you get it centralized, okay, so if Google owns everything and it owns everything from email to social media to like just fucking all the data mining that it gets from you. Oh, okay, so what if they set up like what if they say, okay, well, email service, big portion that was free before, now you got to pay for it. What are you gonna do, right? So that's the catch-22, because it's the competition that drives the productivity and keeps the cost low, and in doing so also keeps the labor, like it suppresses labor, right? But the goal of everybody, every single entity that is a player in this, their goal is to basically capture more and more and more until they become the top dog. So it's a contradictory life cycle where it's the competition that lets it circulate and run in motion, but the end goal is to get rid of your competition, right?
Yeah.
Also,
You
the competition
almost
would drive
need, like-
innovation.
You almost need like a self-detonation button where like if something gets too big, they blow up into bits, and they have to start over. Because
Right.
you don't want anything to be too big. Because like the challenge with Amazon is they can sell stuff cheaper than all their competition, and by doing that, they gobble up everyone, right? And no one can compete with that, and they can operate at a loss because they make so much money.
Yeah,
So-
what you see nowadays is like they will take advantage of of that as well, right? Like if you want to say there's a self-detonating fucking mechanism where a company hits a whatever, let's say an X valuation, and then all of a sudden you have to break it up. Well, the company before they hit that, they themselves restructure themselves into like separate entities to try to avoid that cap, right?
Yeah.
Subsidiaries and all that. So I mean, like, like General Electric doesn't just manufacture fucking like engines anymore. They're everything, right? They're a massive conglomerate, and anything from like they started off from aviation and all that stuff. Now they're in like healthcare, right? Fucking like the digital stuff, venture capitalism, all that shit. And that's just General Electric. You're not even talking about like the other big ones as well. So they find a way to kind of like schemaz their way through to the top.
I mean,
Yeah, or they remember that socialism exists, and then they go beg the government.
Yeah, they beg the CIA to take care of it at that point.
But yeah, I think we do trade a lot of our convenience for we trade our freedom for convenience, right? Like trading our data for the convenience that email is free.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, you very rarely get to like an end state where you just have like one company controlling everything in perpetuity, right? Because the way it goes, the capital always has to be in circulation, right? And in doing so, they always have to, in chasing that rate of profit, they always have to depress something, right? And usually it's a self-eating thing, because the labor that they require to generate that surplus in chasing this rate of profit, sometimes you hit like basically a block in, let's just say, some technological innovation, right? So how else are you gonna have the capital circulate? Well, then you're gonna have to cut costs, right? Cut labor costs. You cut labor costs, but in the macro sense of the economy, yeah, like the same laborers that you're cutting costs, like the butterfly effect is you need these same consumers, which are, like your laborers in the economy as a whole, to purchase your shit. But if you imagine that if everybody's reaching a saturation point, right, then you have a crisis. You get into a cyclical crisis, right? And this is why you always have like every 10 years, every X amount of years, you'll have a recession because you reach that crisis of like overproduction where it's like, okay, your labor cost has gone to the point where it's so low and the consumption has dropped because of it. So everybody gets a soaking, right? And then, it's not like you can pay everybody, you can up X and whatever company's wages because the reserve pool of labor is so much that just by even the labor competition that you're gonna get people working for less. So then you have to hit that crisis. A lot of companies have to get soaked. There has to be a lot of bankruptcies for your fucking that equilibrium to kind of reset in a way where it can circulate again. So it's not like you're not gonna get Google running everything in perpetuity. They will also face some kind of crisis, right? And it would be a surplus of profit crisis. One of the ways you can kind of avoid that for a while is if you it's like what the East India Company did for Britain. And what they did was they went to a whole other land that was wholly, like they went to wherever, India, right? And basically just extracted the shit out of that area. And so, but then everybody in Britain can avoided that kind of cyclical crisis they would face from their rising labor costs and whatnot, because you got all this shit coming in from India that's produced at really, really, really low cost, right? And you're basically and so then the circulation's going one way until, fucking whatever, wherever in India you hit some fucking crisis, but they just put it down by fucking, armed suppression, right? So in that way, you can kind of drain your surplus from one area until there's nothing left, or until that reaches a crisis, and then you can prolong it for maybe 50 more years, 100 more years. But like the world, there's no undiscovered land in the world anymore, and there's no fucking big but vulnerable market to extract from, right? So
well, that's why we're all focusing on going to Mars, right?
But Mars. But here's the thing about Mars, right? Like back then, you could take a ship from fucking India or Portugal or wherever to this other land. You could land there, and basically the only thing you got to worry about is just the time. But everything else, you can just find a fucking crew of guys that don't know how to fucking spell or read. That's enough to man a ship to go to a place where when they land, they don't have to worry about oxygen. They don't have to worry about fucking just survivability, in a sense where like you need Mars, you need fucking oxygen and an atmosphere, right? The amount of resources that it takes for you to make that trip is far surpasses anything that Christopher Columbus needed to borrow just to get to fucking get to the Americas, right? This is like a full spectrum marshaling of each country's resources to even have a space program to launch to get to Mars, right? And we're not even at the point where you can actually send people there or even sustain people there, right? So you're not gonna get a whole bunch of fucking criminals or deckhands or whatever to go and try to settle Mars. When they're actually gonna begin to settle Mars, what they're gonna be sending are basically the selected specialists and shit, right? Scientists and whatnot to try to go over there and see if you could survive. So even then, if you think about it, maybe Mars can save capitalism. Well, it can't, because just the sheer marshaling of the resources, you're not going to be able to extract fucking surplus value from there. And the time it takes from here to there, it's so far, it's unfathomable, right? That was one of the difficulties they had. Well, what Great Britain had just to fucking keep control of its colonies. And, the colonies can grow food. You don't have to worry about breathing air. All that shit. You have arable land. You have none of that on Mars, right? So, it's not like you're going to find a new world on Mars and all of a sudden fucking start reaping in the profit.
So if the colonies had social media and stuff, they could control, if UK had that technology, they could control all their colonies.
Yeah, if the UK had technology now, and it was, and it's not social media that you're concerned. It's the travel time. It's the material travel time, right? That you could bring troops and material and whatever and maintain some sort of
but if
control.
you could tweet at it and say, hey, we need, this colony needs troops, you could just make a tweet. So much easier than writing a letter and recruiting people, right?
Yeah, well, it was the military consideration. Like, you could still send letters between Britain and USA, but it's just the USA felt like, these fuckers are so far away, we do everything ourselves, right? It's not like Britain's like, like shipping over supplies for the entire colony. They're completely self-sufficient, but Britain they were still paying tax to Britain, right?
Yes. Okay.
You could see something maybe like if you ever watch The Expanse where Mars is already developed, maybe, right? Maybe you can get something that's sort of like a colonial rebellion against you. But if we
That's
ever
like
do
thousands of years in the future.
yeah,
it
and if
even
we
happens.
ever yeah, exactly, thousands of years. But even in The Expanse time, I feel like that's a little bit too early. Like when I see The Expanse, it's like it's a great show and everything, but if I have to think about it, I'm like, it's not likely that Mars would develop this way and rebel against Earth just because of all the shit I just mentioned, right? It wouldn't be really like fucking feasible. To me, it would be kind of suicidal, if I was gonna try to game it in reality. But yeah, maybe like thousands of years later, like Hassan said, and you're like living in the Halo universe where humanity's fucking colonized a whole shitload of stuff. Yeah, you can see that happen.
Like even like right now, even if within 100 or 200 or even 500 years you set up your first colony on Mars, they're still going to be dependent on you for food, stuff, water, everything. There's nothing on Mars.
Yeah.
So it's not feasible to be like, yeah, they'll become independent.
It might not be
within-
a place for people. It might be a place for robots to extract resources.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
then robots still need something. They need maintenance. You need people there to maintain. Do it. If the robots crash or the systems crash, what are they going to do? You still have to
Send
have
a
people.
replacement.
You send
You
a-
would-
Well, you just send more robots.
yeah, you send more robots.
yeah, but you send more robots from us. We send it, right?
Yeah.
We send them.
Well, if
Fucking
they're
not
gathering
like Mars.
resources, you have to get them back anyways. So there's got to be some transportation back and
Yeah,
forth.
you're not sending robots there just so you can play like The Sims and shit and watch them live a life there, right? You're trying to
That
get
would be-
shit. You're trying to
that would
kind
be
of
fun
get
to
shit
watch.
back over here and stuff.
And then you would make money by streaming the robots' work.
Yeah.
That would make money, actually.
Yeah, I think they did. Like, didn't China did that? The Wuhan, where they stream
yeah.
the bulldozer making hospitals.
Yeah. People watch
Yeah.
that shit out of entertainment. Yeah.
Well, it's like tons of people watch the like NASA and SpaceX launches and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, and people, I bet they send donations to.
We're
Yeah.
talking about a
They even have it on
future-
Twitch, so
in the future, if you have robots that are that common that they can just be shipped off to Mars in like a split second notice, will it be that interesting that people will still be watching it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I didn't know.
you're not watching fucking UPS deliver shit by cargo on a plane right now. You're not watching a live
Yeah.
stream of that.
Like, I didn't know
But
ASMR would be a thing, and it is. So, wouldn't be surprised.
well, we have people that would just watch people sleep on stream too. So who knows
Yeah.
what people are into?
I don't think we're ever gonna go to Mars.
What do you mean?
Not in
Reaping?
our lifetime.
Yeah.
No,
I don't
no,
think
I,
so
I
either.
think it doesn't make any sense to go to Mars, like to go
Like
to another
ever?
planet. Yeah, because like if we can sustain life in an atmosphere that's like so extreme, that's basically like most efficiently it's a space station. So the technology should be to develop more space stations and live in the outer atmosphere, don't have to deal with gravity and all of that. And if you have to actually get resources, you can send like robots to new planets to harvest resources. But like, why establish like a colony there when you can just establish colonies in space? We're still like long off from it.
the environment of space is a lot more harsher than the environment of Mars. It's a lot more dangerous, right? And it's a lot
Well-
more resources to maintain. If you imagine 10,000 people and eventually, let's just say the technology is there where like you can maintain either people in space or Mars, like on Mars, it would be less demanding than supplying everything 10,000 people in space, because Mars you still have some kind of atmosphere. You don't have like enough oxygen there, but you have everything else on there. You have the material that
Does
on
it have
there
an
as
atmosphere?
well.
I thought I remember it had a weak atmosphere.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
not.
not.
It's not like
It
ours, but
still provides protection from like stuff in space, though,
it's still
like just random debris and stuff like that.
the planet still has it's gas. It still has a atmosphere. It's not the same as the Earth's atmosphere, but like it's thinner. It's a lot thinner too. But you imagine that, like, I don't know. You're comparing like the emptiness of space and maintaining
Oh yeah,
living people
probably.
in that compared to just
I
even a
suppose if you're
planet,
comparing it to space, then yes, it's nicer.
right?
It's not as harsh as space.
I mean, even with Mars, like, there's a really high possibility you can get water from Mars. I mean, like they're searching for it on Mars for a reason, just to see.
They found frozen.
underground.
I think they found frozen water.
So right there, off the bat, that's way easier than just sustaining like a bigger colony in space.
It also depends on if we ever develop good terraforming technology and such.
Yeah, but you can
Yeah.
colonize.
Even then,
You can colonize
even then,
prior to that, if like if you if you can tap into the water, I guess, right? Maybe the entire planet is not gonna get terraformed for a while, but you can have enough like living habitats that would be self-sustaining and shit, right? And
I think it's very unlikely because, like, the one planet that we have right now that is habitable, we're slowly fucking it to hell. And what are the chances that we are actually gonna have we get to a place where we have the resources to terraform Mars into something like Earth and then not fuck that up? Like,
it's the cynical view of everything. You're right. Yeah, there's a big possibility we don't even reach there. We just all fucking kill ourselves on here, on our own planet.
no, that in my mind, I think if we can't fix this planet, then we're not going to be able, as a species, as a humankind, if we can't maintain this planet, then there'll never be, if we don't learn that lesson, we'll never have the ability to go to another planet, terraform it, and then keep it habitable.
Yeah,
forever.
we're assuming that we survived and we actually survived extincting, or if that's a word, ourselves to the
Yeah.
point where you're advanced enough to consider terraforming. But yeah,
Terraforming is like right now it's impossible.
it's
Like,
impossible.
I know
Yeah, it's fucking pipe
people
dreams.
talk about it, but it's pipe dreams right now, and I don't even think the technology for terraforming will be around
for
within
a
the next,
long time. No, yeah, but it's
Not
way
in our
far away.
lifetime for sure.
Way far
and
away.
not in the next couple of centuries either. Like, I don't think it would be something that's
No, yeah. Even centuries later, I can see habitats on Mars, like enclosed domes and shit, self-sustaining.
possibly.
But
yeah.
the entire planet getting terraformed, that's a lot of fucking energy to try to do something like that.
It's global warming, right? That's like the closest we have to terraforming Earth.
In a way, yeah, it's like a reverse terraforming. You're making it, instead of making it livable, you're going the opposite way. Right?
But like on a global scale, that's like the closest that we've done. And like consider how much we had to do. We had to like rip everything into Earth, burn like all the fossil fuels for like 80 years straight,
Yeah.
and we're still not getting like. And the effects are still very marginal, right?
Yeah, but it's like, it's like an accelerating fuck. It's like on a logarithmic scale. It's increasing, right? So you wanna, yeah, I get what you mean. It'll take a while for Mars to fucking terraform, and it's not likely you're gonna get like a fucking accelerated scale of. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. Fucking, you get a terraforming expert in here to fucking school us, then I'm all fucking ears.
For all I know, asteroid hits Mars, it could just speed things up. Who knows?
Or just like,
Hasn't asteroid hit Mars before?
there's tons.
There's like craters.
I'm thinking on the scale like what happened for Earth when, dinosaurs just all die off. Something that affects globally.
But wasn't Earth habitable because we had dinosaurs?
Oh yeah, it's happened
Before,
before,
yeah,
but I'm just saying
before.
something huge like that affects the planet on a global scale that can potentially speed it up.
But how do you know that
A
there
water
wasn't
bomb.
a meteor that made Mars unhabitable? Maybe it was habitable back then, and then
It could have been. So that, I'm
meteor.
just saying we need something, or in order to get it done, you need something major to have happened like that.
Oh, because that's what they talk about, like sending nukes to Mars, right? And just blowing the shit out of it.
I've never heard of anyone talking about sending nukes to
I
Mars.
haven't heard of that either.
I don't know
Why
what the
would you
fuck you're talking.
think they would have the energy capacity to do that right now.
No, yeah, they don't. You don't. Yeah.
Like even like our biggest nukes, they destroy cities, but if you like zoom out on like the effect on Earth, it's just like a tiny blip.
And plus, none of their nuclear deliverance systems can reach Mars right now, unless you wanna fucking put a nuclear warhead on the latest.
Well, we could do what
latest Falcon fucking rocket going there.
you could do what Lebanon did. They just stack up a bunch of ammonium nitrate and just light it up.
On Mars,
You need
we have to
oxygen.
ship
How
it
are
there.
you ready for Mars?
You need oxygen for that to fucking explode, don't you?
You're like, shit. It didn't work. Now we have all this nitrate.
Oh man.
Now we have all this fertilizer on Mars. What are we gonna do?
Grow
How would you
potatoes.
get it to Mars
Yeah.
first?
Grow fucking potatoes. If you already got the fertilizer there. The hard part is like half
Now
done.
we just have to blow it up.
Oh man. Anyways, we're gonna ask Phil before it because he's our resident American here. So yeah, let's get back to that what we were about to talk about before, which is how's it going over there?
Yeah, to reiterate my question at that point, would you mind saying like what state you're in, just for example?
Sure, I'm in Colorado.
Okay.
I moved here from California like 6 months ago, right during the beginning of COVID. In the midst
That's
of
a good
it.
time.
Yep.
But it would seem like if you were in California, things would be a lot worse.
I think the media makes it sound worse than it is. I don't know. Maybe it is really that bad, but it's really hard to say because around here and even the people I still talk to in California, everyone takes more or less precautions, but it's not really like as extreme as the narrative I hear from people in Calgary.
When you say people take precaution, they're social distancing, wearing masks. That
Yeah,
type of
they
stuff?
wear masks, they social distance for the most part. I mean, in any society, you're gonna get like that 20% that just doesn't want to conform. But
We always
most
hear
part-
all the fucking news about in America where there's a lot of people, it seems, that don't want to conform, don't want to wear the mask, don't care about it, or either even think it's a hoax. Is that what you see over there too, or is do you think that's kind of blown up?
yeah, I totally understand like where they're coming from that perspective, because you know you gotta remember like the American identity is that they overthrew the monarchy, so like a lot of them are really adamant about their freedom.
Oh yeah.
And they don't like to be told like what to do. And I think a lot of that was just like they can wear the mask, that's not the issue, but being told that they're forced to wear a mask, that's like a slippery slope for some people.
All right, but wouldn't that be childish though? I mean, like, yeah, I'll do it, but it's just because you fucking told me to. I refuse to now. Like I think like you
Yeah,
can
it's
see
a very
how
immature mindset.
It kind of is, but like for me, I don't feel that way. Like for me, I just wear a mask because
Yeah.
I think that's like the thing to do. But I think I appreciate, having some people in society where they're like, you know what? I feel like this could lead to like restrictions of our rights later on. So I'm gonna take a stand right now. I'm gonna be an asshole right now. I think they're an asshole right now too. But I'm just like, hey, you know what? If things escalated worse, and we look back in hindsight, we'd be like, oh, those guys, they saw it from the beginning.
Well, let's just say, if it did escalate worse, you think those guys would change their minds, or you think they'll just be even harder? They'll be even more hardened from this and be like, nope, 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 absolutely not. I'd rather die than do what they tell me to do. Because to me, just from my end, That's what it kind of looks like from my end, right? I mean, like, I don't think it would be hard pressed for you to ask me, oh, do you think if it got is there a point in time where it gets so bad that where these people be like, you know what, I was wrong, I'm sorry, like, yeah, fucking, I'll put on a mask, I'll get everybody else I know to put on a mask. I think it's more likely that they'll just double down on what they're doing now.
I think
That-
that would only change if
yeah.
either they or someone close to them got infected.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't see them changing their minds.
Right. I mean, I also agree that the media does play up a lot of this shit, right? Like, it's in their interest to make it seem like fucking everything's doomsday. It sells for them. But at the same time, for me, like this is quite serious enough that I think when they did lock it down, it was the proper thing to do, and also, like, it's kind of justified right now to say, like, you know what, like this public whatever health thing, of wearing the mask and whatnot. I think it's a more than reasonable thing to do, and I think we all think that as well. But I guess it's funny to me when it boils down to some people where it's like they just think, fucking no, this, I refuse to, because either hoax that they want to control us and fucking bring in tyrannical laws by this gateway
Yeah.
drug of the mask, or like, because fucking I hate authority because I'm American and that's what the identity is. I mean, like we were talking about last time, there was enough people that hated seatbelts when they came in, right? And this thing is not just fucking, you're saving your own life by wearing a mask, as like the seatbelt was, but you're saving other people's lives too, right? Potentially.
Yep. But potentially, yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, like in Colorado, when you go around, so you're saying you see most of the people are just wearing masks. You're not like seeing every day someone's just fucking arguing with someone about not wearing a mask, right?
Yeah, so in like since I got here, which would have been March,
Yeah.
I've met maybe two people that were like, "I'm not wearing a mask. F you." Like, I'm not wearing a mask. Like, this is stupid. Like, two people adamantly about that.
Yeah.
I would say maybe like 5% of that whole time, like that just like didn't wear a mask. Maybe they forgot and didn't bother to go back, or like they just don't wear. But like, it's not like they're up in your face. They're just like they just didn't wear a mask and they don't make a big deal out about it. But basically, everyone else wears a mask in public.
You think that would be different in other states, especially a little bit more like
Florida.
yeah, fucking Florida or fucking Mississippi or those places.
Well, what do you think about what happened in Georgia? Like, there's the school there that someone, like a student, took pictures of the hallways, how they're completely packed, and only like 3 kids out of the possible 100 in the picture were wearing masks.
Christian's
And
got in trouble.
yes, since then, that girl that posted the picture, she got like suspended. It was later revoked, but then after that, 9 cases were confirmed in that school. Is that anything else like that happening that you know of in the States, or
No, I
anything
don't.
close to that?
I don't know that, but I do like in like the community social media around here. I know a lot of parents are very concerned about like school. A lot of teachers going back to school, they're just like so concerned because nobody knows what the policy is.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
same with us as
and
well.
you know, yeah, and like
Yeah,
the
they're
thing
just
is like
making up as they go.
the thing is like at the end of the day, the mask is not like 100% like like it's not the solution, right?
It's not
Like,
like a
even
it's
if
not like a cure all thing. It
Mhm.
right, but it is something that helps tremendously. But yeah, it's not like you could still get sick while there is that chance.
It's back to the seatbelt thing. Like a seatbelt won't save your life depending on the
Yeah.
accident, but it's still it's a preventative measure. It at least it helps somewhat.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the mask. Like, for most of the studies that I read, the mask, like if everybody wore a mask, then the rate of spread would decrease by 70%, roughly.
Right, but would you be okay with that being codified? Like from now until the end of time, you're always wearing mask in public.
But that's not what they're asking right now. They're just asking until we get this in control until there's a vaccine in place. No one,
Wait,
no
but
one is.
let's say, but where I'm getting at is that first of all, there may be a vaccine for this one, but we know there's going to be another one, right? So when since we're in a pandemic right now that's affecting the world, why not look towards like, okay, preventing the next one? If we're always gonna take the road of precautions, we should always just like wear PPE permanently. This should just be a part of our life, period. Because the next pandemic, it might not be COVID, it might be like another coronavirus, it might be something else, but we should always have some sort of mask on. We should always have some sort of gloves on. Like it would just prevent contamination, right?
Well, I
Yeah,
could see it be making more sense if it was treated more like in places in Asia, where if you are sick or something like that, you wear the mask just to avoid spreading it to other people.
Or just stay home.
yeah. But
Yeah.
in Asia right now, literally everybody going out is wearing a mask, right? And there's that social pressure for people to wear a mask. Whereas, like there's not a lot of places where you get that American attitude towards it, where it's like, this comes from a source of authority telling me to do this, and this invokes revolutionary memory, basically. Where other places in the world where like there's it's not like America's the only place that went through kind of like a revolution against fucking against a power over them. These other places, you can name them. They've gone through revolutions too, but they don't have that. I would say they don't have that attitude that is like saying this is an attack on freedoms, not en masse in a way that's visible that you can see in the United States. And I find that pretty fucking hilarious. I mean, I have pretty good laughs about this. I mean, like fucking France went through how many revolutions? We're on what, the Fourth Republic now, right? I don't think you don't get a lot of French people going like fucking sacre bleu, like I'm gonna fucking roll about the Sixth Republic if they make me wear the mask, right? I find it fucking funny. I really do, and yeah, I get it. Like, especially in Colorado, you're not gonna see the crazies as much. But when they do show the crazies, I'm fucking laughing.
No, it's like what they're asking us to do is not that big. Like even in terms of uh, government control, it's not that big of a measure in terms of it. They're just asking for precaution. If it was like something like there's a government official at every supermarket you walk into, and then you have to check in and write your name and give your name and your contact info and everything. That okay, fine. That might be like a form of control or something. But here, this mask thing is just for for precaution to protect yourself and to protect others. So I don't see. I find it very. It's like a really fucked up hill to die on. That oh no, I'm not going to wear the mask because of freedom.
But I mean, you yourself. Let's just game this out. You yourself would set a line where some stuff is acceptable, is not, and some stuff isn't acceptable, right? I guess for them, it's just that bar is really low for what's acceptable for them.
No, and
I
that's
think
that. Sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
that's what messes me up. Like Zinzin, you were saying, like it's fucking funny. Like it's hilarious that like this is the choice. Like on masks, you have. I know it's not everywhere. I mean, we look at the U.S. and say laugh at the U.S., but it's happening here too now. We're having anti-mask rallies and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
in major cities. It's not
Oh
like
yeah, it's not them, just them. We have
yeah.
our stupid things too, and it's
We
you know what I would actually say is even funnier for us because what the fuck are they like? Well, what are fucking Canadians really? What's the reason for them, right? I think they're just mimicking like Americans that they see doing this, and then
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, fucking that's cool. I want to be like that too. But then it's like, okay, so when was the last time you're gonna point to fucking when did you rebel against Queen Elizabeth, right? You got none of that.
Exactly. And it just seems more asinine when I see it like on the news here that an anti-mask rally took place over the weekend at such and such park or at such and such city, and you're like, what the hell? what bullshit is this?
Yeah. I mean,
See,
yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
the anti-mask rally, I never understood because I felt like that I agree that was a relatively easy thing to do, but the aftermath of that, it becomes quite concerning because back in April, the government down here and I think in Canada too, they ordered like a national shutdown, right? Like everything
Yeah,
just shut
yeah.
down in April.
Mhm.
Um, and that was kind of like the slippery slope. That was like for me, that was like okay, government is telling you to like not operate business, and everyone just like was so docile and went along with it. I was just like so surprised that there's not so much pushback. Which was fine because that was like during the pandemic. But the thing that like really struck me was in July, this the cases like were still about the same. Like
Mm-hmm.
we just stopped the curve, but the point is still the same as it was in April. And the
Mm-hmm.
government said, "Hey, everything open up," and everyone jumped on board. And they're like, "Okay, we gotta open everything up again."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Dude, like, didn't you say like you're gonna save lives and like shut
Yeah.
everything down because of the cases?" So that's what really got me because like you can't just flip flop so quickly.
Oh, definitely.
It's
Especially
all
with
about
that.
the money.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, for them, I think they were facing just enormous pressure that even it makes no medical sense or whatever that, like yeah, like you said, it's not like they went down to zero cases. They were still having comparable cases to when they first shut down. But at that point they were fucking boned and they're saying, "Oh fuck it, we got to do it." Like like it's not just the pressure like my constituent pressure, but like the government itself from the very top and even from the like your constituents from the grassroots, they're applying pressure. You got to open up, even if their cases are not going down. At that point it's like, oh fuck, we have to open up, right? The pressure was on, so they just opened up. At that point it was like, yeah, fuck it. Like I'll take it. I'll take the deaths. Just fuck it. Just as long as business resumes,
I'll
fucking
take
open
the
it up.
death.
Basically, remember in Texas, that guy they got that guy, that one of the lieutenant governor or whatever, or the governor general. He went on and said, "Yeah, I'm fucking 70 years old. I'm already in that risk group, but I'm telling you now, as an American, I'm gonna go
Oh
out and
yeah, the
sacrifice my
grandfather.
life to open up, to basically go out and like and go and do businesses and fucking live out his life." And he's like, "I hope more people can follow me into doing that."
What a brave man.
Oh yeah, fucking give him the Medal of Honor. But
I
yeah,
think
I see what.
I think
Yeah, we saw the same thing.
yeah, but so my conclusion on this whole like process of like mask or opening up is I think everyone is gonna contract COVID in this lifetime. Like 100% world, everyone's gonna get it, and I think about 1 to 3% globally will die from it. Um,
When you say get it, you're not talking about through a vaccine, right?
Nah, he's talking
no, no,
about
no.
like,
I mean like they're gonna get like infected by it, like just because people are gonna travel, it's gonna you're gonna try to prevent it, but just because people are negligent, right? Like peak pandemic was in April, May. That was like peak pandemic. Literally everyone in the world was talking about it. Everyone was like concerned about it. Everything was shut down, and people were still gonna going out and infecting other people. So like I just don't see how come like winter when flu season happens and you can't differentiate like the like 50-year-old flu and the cold between COVID, like everyone's just gonna infect each other.
yeah, like the advice that was going out in the beginning, when it was in China and then Italy and all those places, the advice was, if you're gonna get COVID, do your best to not get it right now, because your chances of dying it
Makes
from
sense.
right now will be the highest. Eventually, because eventually you'll get vaccines. Eventually you'll get way better treatment and maybe drugs that actually deal with it. And eventually you'll also get the strain of the virus, through some virologists when they talk about it. Like, the ones that survive the most, they kind of create their own strain of a less lethal strain, right? That
Hmm.
gets, that evolves with the population. So like, the most dangerous time to get it is right during the beginning, when you don't know anything about it, there's no treatment about it, and like fucking nobody knows about it, and it's at its most lethal, right? So I mean, you do want to wait until after, when all the healthcare is basically, they're equipped to deal with it first and foremost, right? You got the equipment, the material, Yeah, they're all trained to deal with it. You got the drugs that will actually treat it and then be effective, and they have all fucking the procedures to treat it, and also eventually the vaccines, right? And it's not. Some people think it's going to be one magic vaccine. It doesn't even have to be. It can be a whole bunch of different batches of vaccines and shit, right? But eventually, you'll get to the point where it's like you will artificially induce like the herd immunity, right? But the argument that I see around where it's saying, you're gonna all get it anyways. Let's fucking, like, and maybe this X amount of people will die, right? But you can see right now there's not a lot of people that have gotten infected, right? And if you think about the context of the world where most of the major countries all instituted at one point some sort of lockdown, and it wasn't just running wild throughout the world, during this period of lockdown, and you're still getting difficult cases to eradicate, and it still is pretty spreadable, and we're like half a year in, and the methods they have to treat it are better, and it's still a problem. You do want to wait, like that advice that I heard in the beginning. He's like, if you get it, just don't get it right now, wait as long as you can get. If you were gonna get it, it's way better to get it way later. I think that is still the fucking playbook to go off of, right? Wait until everything is advanced and being prepared to the point where, like, you're not gonna it's not gonna be a flip of a coin if you get it, but it's gonna be managed through, vaccines, treatments, or whatnot. Everything's matured to the point where it will be as lethal as the common flu because, technology and fucking the way we deal with it has advanced to that point. So I mean, I wouldn't buy into like naturally getting immune to it, because that would equal, it's a cost benefit. It's a really shitty cost fucking analysis at the end, and you get a lot more people dying from that, right?
Hmm. But then there's also like the economic and social trade-off for that we're incurring by delaying like the spread, right?
Yeah, I mean, sure, but I was talking about it before, but like, one thing that this kind of proves in your economy is kind of lays bare the fact that a lot of people, especially the ones, mainstream ones that advise the government on that stuff, the economy has advanced to a point where, their version of the economy is kind of like outdated. So then you could see that you could have your most basic amenity of production and stuff still keep up, especially with food. More or less, this pandemic spreading. In the past, this would be fucking horrendous. Especially you could see famines and stuff. But the society has advanced to a point where all the social relations have advanced to a point where you can have a pandemic, but still have enough a much comfortable margin that you're still having a massive surplus in food and a lot of essential production of materials and services while everything was shut down, right? It was just a question of distribution, right? So the people, especially if people couldn't work, oh fucking, where do I get the money for it? But the material is there. The surplus of material is all there. No one was facing a critical shortage of stuff. So I think it got people thinking like, oh shit, if you were thinking about some sort of UBI sort of plan, you could sort of see, oh, it might be more feasible in the future.
Oh, totally. I love Yang, but that's besides the point.
Fucking Yang. Yang's not the Yang. My problem with Yang is like, he's not the guy that invented UBI. He's just the guy that wanted to run on it.
Yeah. Well, I don't like him just because of UBI, but that was one of the points for sure.
He has a podcast now.
Oh, really? I didn't
Do
know
not
It's called,
advertise for
Yang
our fucking competitor. You cocksucker.
But
Unless you intend to invite him on ours.
Yeah, unless you get him to invite. Yeah, fucking give us a shout out. And then
Yeah, give you a shot.
people will be
Or
like,
if he gives us a shout out.
yeah, he
then
gives.
we can-
Of course, give us a shout out. We have everything to gain from it. He has everything to lose from it.
We just need to get on the show and then plug our podcast in.
But
That's the game.
I think you're right. I think the answer is like, if you could delay getting it, it is only better. So like, the longer you wait, you're probably gonna be better off. What I would have liked the governments to do though was invest in healthcare as opposed to invest in giving everyone like money to to spend while they're unemployed, I guess. Like
Well,
the
yeah,
stimulus package.
definitely.
I think they should have just
yeah, definitely the American fucking healthcare. I don't even know. Like, I imagine it would be a fucking nightmare. Just to
Americans don't even invest in healthcare when there's no pandemic going on. So I don't know if how they would invest now.
But you would have thought that when a pandemic hits, they would they would consider
No,
investing into
definitely
healthcare.
that's where the common sense goes. The common sense goes to, oh hey, there's a pandemic going on. Let's start investing money into healthcare. But the common sense left U.S. a long time ago, apparently.
Well, while we're on
That's
this,
my opinion.
while we're on this, and we're talking about the politics and stuff, you guys have an election coming up, and I know you have some thoughts on it. So, like, recently, Joe Biden got his VP pick. It's Kamala Harris, right? Fucking like, what do you think about this? I want to hear your thoughts.
So my thought is, when he announced Kamala as his running mate, I was just like, you know what? You know who would have been the best candidate to run this year against Trump? Hillary. I was like, why? Just hear me out. Because Hillary actually won the popular vote, and like she did lose, kind of like she didn't like it wasn't like that close, but it was kind of close. She had a shot, and in the last 4 years, I think Trump has only done himself harm. Like his base loves him, but it's shrinking, and like nobody's really heard about Hillary, and everything bad about Hillary has already come out. Like he's already used it all. She was what the DNC felt was the best candidate 4 years. Well, Biden I thought was the best candidate 4 years ago, but he didn't run, so she was like the next best, right? She's already got everything in there. Just run the same play with Hillary, and I think like she'll just creep through the margin, as opposed to like, because everybody wants like something that they're comfortable with, that they know, right? And that's kind of like Hillary. Like she's a mass murderer. We know that. That's okay. Like, so is Trump.
But Hillary, I mean, like, that thing where it's like, oh, fool me once, shame on me, right? But or shame on you, but fool me twice. Hillary, if they're gonna go for Hillary, that's fool me thrice, right? Fucking shame on fucking me. Like, she lost her bid in 2008. Lost it in, well, was it 2000? Yeah, and then 2016 she was going out, and she swung out and swung out hard. Wouldn't you think? Wouldn't people say fucking Hillary again? Are you fucking kidding me? Wouldn't you think that would be the reaction?
I think the core of the Trump supporters would definitely say that. I think a lot of people in the middle would be like that too. But I think a lot of people like that was on the fence about Hillary, and they're just like Biden or bust. They would be like, I mean, not Biden, Sanders or bust. They'd be like, okay, you know what? If it's between Hillary and Trump, another 4 years of Trump, I'm okay with like Hillary over no Biden. I know no Sanders.
Well, actually, the sentiment I was getting from the Sanders people was it was Sanders or nobody. They're not even going for Biden, and I would argue that they hate Hillary almost as much as the fucking the Trumpsters hate Hillary. So I mean, like, Hillary would have been fucking. It would just be to me. It just seems like a fucking toxic landmine to just go for the fucking third time too. Whereas
but Kamala.
But Kamala, if you think about it, Kamala is the Hillary without the baggage. She's been following in the footsteps. She doesn't have a Bill Clinton to kind of be there to kind of muddle the fucking political waters. It's Kamala Harris, prosecutor out of I think it was Los Angeles or California or something, right?
California.
It's the same kind of like fucking the prosecutor chops that Hillary has, but she doesn't have the fucking baggage of scandal on her that Hillary does. And Hillary, I mean, like, she kind of got that she got the reputation of being like brutal and almost that evil fucking reputation when she was Secretary of State, and you can see through her actions, like she pushed through some very aggressive, brutal shit. Kamala doesn't have any of that. So I mean, like, if you were gonna say, yeah, maybe Hillary for the third time, wouldn't Kamala be the better choice in that regard? If you're gonna compare to Hillary number 3.
But Kamala could not gather enough votes to be the candidate.
I mean, maybe, but
So,
like, okay,
So let's say Hillary was in contention in the primary, and Hillary was in the same pool like Kamala, Biden, Yang, and all that stuff. I think Hillary would have came out on top
I don't think so. I think
in
if
this
you put
year's
Hillary,
primary?
yeah, if you put Hillary in this year's primary, it would have been much lower than her 2016 one. Because if
You think Biden would still win though? Really?
Biden over Hillary in this case in 2020. Oh
Mhm,
yeah,
in
oh yeah.
2020.
I think he would have the chance over Hillary in this case. Hillary, ever since then, was damaged goods. And remember, in 2016, most of the vote shit that she got was basically the vote for the Democrats. Not really necessarily for her, but just like, here's the candidate of the Democratic Party. Let's go for that. Remember, she was at that point. She was already getting fucking heat from Bernie Sanders when he was relatively unknown, right? So I mean, like already in 2016, you had people kind of saying, "I don't like Hillary, but I will vote for her because she's the candidate," right? And if you put her in 2020 now, and then people are looking at the selection of candidates. You got Hillary, you got Joe Biden as well, and then you got fucking Buttigieg and Klobuchar and all those people. The field, excluding Sanders, the field is a lot more like there's a lot more well-known names and fucking celebrities in here than there were in 2016. Because aside from Sanders, who really remembers anybody of anything, right? Fucking, who are the other
Well,
candidates? No one remembers.
Yeah, because I think in 2016 they cleared the road for her.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
the DNC was just like, "Hey, it's only Hillary," and Sanders was like, "F that."
Yeah, exactly. And she still lost to Trump. They cleared the road for her. They
Yeah.
fucking paved the way for her. And they fucking carried her water for her, and she still lost against them. Right? I mean, like, even if you're just thinking about the DNC itself as an organization, you gotta think that they're like, fuck this. Like, why would we spend all that on this bitch again just to see her lose? And in the most humiliating way, too, right? I mean, like,
Right.
if people were going for the nostalgia of the Obama era, you got Biden for that. He's the fucking nostalgia. He's the fucking poster boy for people that have that want to go back to the simpler times of Barack Obama, right? He's the standard bearer for that already. You don't need a Hillary for that. And if you wanted someone that was like more young and impressionable and whatever, you could have gone for Buttigieg. And he's got that, he's got that what would you say, that fucking the used to be vulnerable group, like he of the LGBT community, right? He would be the gay pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would get a lot of support from that. I mean, like Hillary, I just feel like it's fucking. It would just be a fucking landmine. You throw it again. It's the third time.
Hillary
What
would
do
be
you think of-
overdone in this. I think like Zinzin saying her star period is over. Like she can't come back from that. Like even now or even in the future.
Yeah.
I think she tried her best and it didn't. Like unfortunately, she lost. I don't think the DNC would place their bets on her.
Her peak was
Again.
definitely in. I also feel her peak was in 2016, and after that, it was just all downhill. Like she's not even considering this. Even if they asked her to, I doubt she would say yes to it.
She already wrote a book about it, so I don't
Yeah.
think she would.
But
Oh, I didn't read her book.
no one wants. Don't read it. It's probably fucking trash.
They'll just make a Netflix documentary on it.
I do agree with you in one of the regards that Kamala Harris. Yeah, I mean, you're right. She kind of dropped out really early on compared to like all the other people, right? Like Buttigieg and Klobuchar, off the top of my head. But why? I wanna hear your thoughts. Why do you think they picked her then?
I think because she's a good contrast to Biden. I think they are strategizing that people are not going to vote for Trump. So this is kind of like a few assumptions.
Yeah.
They're assuming a lot of people don't want to vote for Trump. So there's just going to be a lot of non-voters. So if you can find somebody that can kind of relate to you, you're just going to throw away your vote as a vote against Trump. So Biden has like one pool of people, and Kamala has like everything that's contrasting Biden. She's a woman. She's colored.
Yeah.
She's like
Young.
younger, like
Younger.
all like little, yeah,
Everybody younger
Like,
compared to Biden.
that's true, except Trump. I don't know actually, but
No, I think Trump is younger.
then maybe
Than
they're
Biden?
both old.
If
and
you're
senile.
hesitating, if you have to think about it, then that's already it's Biden, right? They're fucking both old.
Yeah, too old. But I think that's kind of like if people are like, okay, you know what? I'm young. I'm tired of like all these old white guys. I want something new. Well, Kamala's the only option because it's Trump, Biden, and Pence, right? So she's just like the only
Yeah.
other option.
Well, yeah, Pence is basically fucking dead weight. He was just there for the Christians and shit to kind of jump on board, right? But I guess from Kamala, from what you're saying, they picked her just because of her fucking not who she is, but what she is, right? Woman, colored, fucking relatively young, right? So I think they're just picking her just basically for those traits, or what do you think? Do you think this will work first and foremost?
I don't think it will work. What about you guys? Do you guys think? Does anyone here think it worked?
No, with the whole like defund the police and I don't know, doesn't make sense for her to come on.
I think it'll be another 4 years of Trump. Like, I don't think.
But do you feel like as you said, Phil, his popularity is shrinking? Do you think he can win with that?
I think he can win with that because the thing is like you don't need to get the majority. You can just need to beat the second person, and I think his supporters will go out. And he's always in the news. Like the last 4 months, I've heard nothing of Biden. Until
The last
today
4
with
years, I
Kamala.
feel.
Yeah, and like
That's probably by design. The less you hear of him, the less you can see that he's
Yeah.
fucking melting on TV.
I agree. I think that is Biden by design, and maybe Kamala's gonna. Well, we'll see if like she's more in the news in the next few months. But if we contrast this to like 2016, which I feel like the election started in 2015, like everyone talked about it for like the whole like even like the DNC primaries and the Republican primaries was just like
Yeah.
it was like a soap opera. Like everyone was tuning in to watch it, and then when there's Trump and Hillary, everyone's just like, oh, this and that, and they had all these debates. Like I don't know how many debates they had, but like it feels like there's nothing now. Like
Yeah.
all we
yeah.
hear is Trump.
Yeah, like in all intents and purposes, Hillary's de facto campaign already started way before then, way before 2016. They were already fucking simping for her to be the candidate. You're right. And I don't know, like for me, yeah, you know what? You guys it sounds plausible. Like there's nothing that stops Trump from losing it. I mean, like he's probably at the lowest popularity and opinion he is now comparatively, but his base is still pretty huge. Like the ones that will just hardcore do or die vote for him. That's still, they're not getting deterred by this at all.
So back in like 2017, I was talking to my friends about Trump, and they're just like, he's gonna be out in 4 years, and I was like, I think the only way, because Trump at like when he first started, everyone was like, this guy's so stupid, he's not gonna last. But I think what I was just we actually don't know, right? We don't know how smart or dumb he is. It's just we just see what he shows on TV. But I said, you know what what Trump would do was like ensure that there's some kind of war for America. And if there's a war for America, then historically and the probably he will win the election again. They're not gonna switch presidents mid war, right? And right now we have a war against COVID, and if like and yeah, I know,
But it's
if
a war that
millions
they're losing though, right? I mean, LBJ got
Yeah.
fucking kicked out because Vietnam was looking really bad for him.
I know, but like if it's like a war we're losing, but we have a plan, do we really want to change strategies?
But I think
And I think a lot of people like, yeah, like you're probably not voting for him, so you're probably saying no. But there's a lot of people that's on the fence. They don't watch politics. They don't know who any of these names are, and they're just like, well, do we want to change? like this person who's like giving us free money for like this COVID, that's actually like getting supplies, that's actually talking about this like thing that might kill us, maybe we'll just keep voting for him. We don't know what the other party is gonna bring.
But that
So I
could
think
also
that's
be
where
used
he's
for
gonna.
that could also be used for his opponents, where that they could say they would argue that the people on the fence would see that this is a bungling. They would attribute the blame on him, and then that would be the push they would need to get to be on the side of voting him out. If for the sitters, right? I mean,
Well,
to me,
what
it seems
has-
like a lot
well-
less of the fence sitters would view this sequence of events that we've seen as something positive that would make them more likely to vote for him, especially considering this media barrage that's out, right? And it's all just against fucking him and his administration and how they're handling everything.
I think he's gonna buy the votes by releasing the relief package number 2 for COVID
Oh, definitely.
in October.
Oh, definitely. That's the fucking game plan. Yeah.
100%. So like everyone's gonna remember that. Okay, Trump might have like messed things up, but we don't know if anyone could do better, right? Because I mean, like it's not factual if anyone's doing better. But what a lot of these people know is this is a president where when things went bad, he gave everyone money. He gave everyone like $1,200.
It helps
And
that
in
his signature, when they get the check in the
Yeah.
mail, it's fucking Donald J. Trump's signature that they're seeing.
Right.
They're getting a couple grand from.
No
And
one
then
has ever
in
done that.
October, they're all gonna get another $1,000 for the people that are making less than like 100,000 or 75,000. Because arguably, everyone who's making more than 100,000 is not voting for him anyway, so he doesn't care about them. So like, come November, everyone's gonna be like, "Are we gonna vote for the guy that gave us $2,000 this year, or two people who we don't know what's going on?"
I mean,
Yeah.
the thing that puts the wrench into all of this is itself also the COVID and stuff. I mean, if you ask me before this year happened, before COVID happened, like fucking Trump is probably gonna get it, especially if since they booted Bernie and it's fucking Joe Biden, like 130-year-old Joe Biden. That's his opponent. Yeah, fucking Trump's got this in the bag. But the worst case scenario that his campaign team could ever think of actually happened, right? Where there's something that this emergency situation in the form of this pandemic came in, disrupted everybody, fucking plowed the economy and shit, and makes especially every federal decision have that much fucking scrutiny and microscope on it that anything he does will almost make him look bad. I mean, the worst case scenario that his campaign can think of and fathom has happened. So I don't know. That's the thing that makes his victory unsure, not uncertain for me. I mean, you guys could still be right. He could probably still win the bag because fucking come on, it's Joe Biden, right? It's fucking come on, man.
I mean, have you spoken to any Trump supporters? I'm just curious.
Trump supporters, people
Like,
that
not
would
the
directly
crazy
vote
ones.
for him, no. But people that admire him or respect him, I've spoken to them, and
Interesting.
I mean, like, it's the same shit. They're like, yeah, fucking, they obviously, it may have hurt him, but he'd probably win it just because fucking Biden's Biden. Like that's probably the most we get. I don't know anybody that's fucking hardcore. Yeah, make America great. They would have a big problem fucking with my politics. So it's unlikely I would have friends like that that want to be friends with me.
I've spoken to people that are like hardcore, like make America great, and I've spoken to people that are like Republic on the fence.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, everything that Trump does, what they see in like their news bubble, they don't see the negatives. They don't see any of the bad things the same things you see.
Of course,
That
yeah.
like you're like, so I think from that perspective, like this whole like situation, they probably feel like he does an okay job or as good a job as anyone else would do. And after speaking to them, like even like to today, after like that Axios interview and everything, they're just like, yeah, you know what, I'm still gonna vote for Trump.
Of course.
And I don't know.
But I mean, those guys were gonna vote for him nonetheless, right? Like it was in the bag for him. The question would be the people that aren't that would be more or less like you know, the ones that really pushed him into power were those guys that were like, fuck Hillary, or fuck the establishment, fuck the existing like politic, right? Let's go for fucking Trump, right? His hardcore supporters will always be his hardcore supporters, but they themselves are not enough to push him through that victory line. He needs those guys that were with him in 2016 when they were like, fuck Hillary. I'd rather fucking vote the Apprentice star in rather than deal with this, right? I mean,
So
I don't know if there's enough of a fuck Biden out there to give it to Trump, especially when Biden's like limiting his fast devolution into senility on TV, so people don't get to see that he's literally out of his mind. He doesn't know where he is. I mean, I don't see too much of a fuck Biden, anybody but Biden out there.
I think this comes to like the discussion you guys had last week, I guess, about voting and like should people be forced to vote? And I think those people that are like fuck the establishment and now they're like fuck Trump, like would they go out to vote? Because like either way, they have to vote for something that they don't want, right? Like they have to vote for the establishment or they have to vote for Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be, yeah, it would depend on how pissed they are. Because I would argue that if they're just apathetic, yeah, they won't go out. But it seems like a lot more of them will just be pissed enough to go out, even if they feel like it's all meaningless and they're not gonna vote after this. I don't know, like, fucking, voter turnout's gonna be fucking good dog shit anyways, right? Like, more likely than not, they're gonna have to mail in ballot for a lot of these places, right? I mean, I don't know whether that
that's
means...
gonna be a mess.
Yeah, I don't even know whether that means like fucking the participation's gonna go up or not, but it's hard to say. I mean, I don't think there's like a definitive answer out there for this.
I don't understand how anyone can like function, like how they can get 300 million people to vote. Like what kind of system can actually like do that with a degree of certainty, like accuracy?
Well, the mail-in has been there forever. It's just not. Yeah, you can't get. They've never had that volume going through the mail to vote. But I don't know. Like, what was the voter participation last time in 2016? It wasn't.
Right now, but I think it's gonna be around like 60%.
Yeah. So I mean, if they can handle half of, like even if they handle like fucking just the same amount or even half of that, it's still a fucking tough case. You could go either way.
So 2016 was 55.7%. So we're looking at like almost 200 million people voting.
It may, and
I
it
don't
may
know
be
the
even
trends,
less.
but hasn't voting gone up since like Obama?
Yes. Well, when Obama got elected, it was 58.2. Obama's re-election was 54.9, and Trump's election was 55.7.
What was
And
it before Obama then?
Lower. Way lower.
lower.
Yeah, significantly though, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
to put in the context, if you get 50s in an American election, that's considered like fucking record breaking. Like you'll get people fucking just gushing about how many people came out to vote. Oh, isn't democracy like 50%? That's pretty high for them historically.
I think most places hover between 45 to 60%, like worldwide.
On average,
not
yeah.
a lot
The
of-
worldwide
yeah.
participation, yeah, it will be like that. But
So what do you think about Kamala then? Do you like her? Like,
oh fuck,
would you vote for?
She's just nobody. She's just a Hillary light. I obviously, if you can ask me that question, I'm not gonna vote for any of that. Fuck
So
that.
who okay, who do you think who could Biden have picked as his running mate that would have got your vote for Biden?
Nobody. I don't know. Fuck. Well, let's just say not my vote. I would imagine that people would have gone for him if he got. First of all, it would have been interesting if he asked Elizabeth Warren to be his running mate for that, because he would have gotten all those fucking those dumbass fucking Warren heads that are do or die for Warren. They would go for that easy.
They're just like Trump voters.
They
really.
are.
Like
Well, they
Warren
are.
supporters? Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she's a fucking moron, and it always puzzles me. I'm like, why are you guys so like fucking do or die for Warren of all fucking people, right?
Yeah.
But that would be a sizable amount of people that they could bring. Honestly, if he picked like Buttigieg or Klobuchar, I think he would have been before like the fuck before George Floyd died and there was this whole fucking race riot going on. That would have been a strong one for him, especially if it was like Buttigieg. Well, actually, I think they would be itching for a woman. So if it was like Klobuchar or someone, he could have been, that kind of gotten him quite a bit of people. Kamala, I mean, like, at this point, like that's enough. Like it's enough that she's colored and a woman. That's gonna bring what they wanted, what they want to bring. Like those traits are enough to bring, like to kind of soak up whatever the Democrats thought that they were gonna people that were gonna sit on the fence. I mean, in their calculation, that's what I imagined that they were thinking. Like this is perfect. We're gonna get whatever demographic, especially in this kind of environment, right? Because when this all set off and the whole Black Lives Matter became a thing again, like they were pretty much set on picking a colored person, and it's just a bonus if she's a woman, right? If it was the biggest bonus would be a colored person, gay, woman, possibly trans. I don't know. Like you hit all of. They're looking at it like that, right? They're looking at it like the more boxes we can check off, the better, right?
So you're saying I think by that definition, then if Biden said, "Hey, my running mate, Oprah," he would have got it. Oprah would have been the best running mate.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess so. They're like, but people will be shocked as fuck, right? They'll be like, "What the?" Fuck?
So it's newsworthy too, right? So he'll be in the headlines. No one will talk about Trump. He'll be like, "Oprah as vice president? Let's talk about that."
Well, yeah. At this point, like we'll be entering the era where all the presidents will just be TV personalities after that. Like,
Oprah would never go for vice president, though. She'd want president.
It's Oprah we're talking about. She maybe has a plan to like assassinate him and then become president.
Yeah, Biden's old. He's not gonna last.
Parody. But man, like this sets it up for if they're going for TV personalities, next election gonna be like fucking The Rock versus like
Will Smith.
Will Smith.
Rock would win that easy.
You would
Isn't
think.
Kanye in the running right now?
Yeah, he's
Kanye
fucking-
is in the
Was
running.
that a joke or was that serious? Like
I thought
real
he withdrew.
He's in the happy birthday party. Did he withdraw?
I
think
thought
was
he had
forced
to because weren't they sending lawsuits against him or something?
Well, he was
I
like
heard it was
he,
canceled for I don't know what other reason.
he was he's taking it seriously. Everybody else is taking it as a joke.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to confirm. That's all.
Dude, imagine we're all wrong and Kanye becomes president. Like we just got it completely fucking wrong. He pulls up, he does the underdog of underdogs, and he becomes president.
Well, we were all wrong 4 years ago, so it could happen again.
Whoa, I was not wrong 4 years ago. I was totally like 100% like as soon as Hillary won the nomination, I was like, the DNC lost this. Like clearly everyone wanted Sanders. Like it wasn't even close, and they just fucked him over. And then a lot of Democrats were like really butthurt about that, and they're like, I'm not gonna vote for Hillary.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, no. I should say most of us. I had just assumed Hillary back would win, but I would have rather had Sanders.
Well, no
in
shit.
2016.
No one, not a lot of people breathing would want Hillary to win.
I just and it wasn't that I wanted Hillary to win. I just thought she would win, considering that she was running against Trump.
Well,
Like-
yeah, especially the news made it seem like that too, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
but
Yeah,
the,
but that's
the one
like a
thing with-
problem with like the political, like the voting system, right? Where like you feel like, and for you guys too, if I'm pretty sure where you are, your vote doesn't really matter. If you vote the opposite way, it's not gonna really affect the outcome.
Yeah, man. You're not gonna get any disagreements from me. Consider if people listen to our last episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
it's
good
just like,
Yeah.
So
I
when
mean,
votes don't matter, then the only thing we can do is riot and ask for the
Riot.
government's resignation, right?
no, I
Kind of
think
like what they
that
do in Lebanon.
that is not the conclusion. You're saying votes don't matter, but what I'm saying is votes do matter, but when you don't have the candidate that's worth the vote, then people won't vote. Like that's what a free democracy is, right? You need to have people that are worth the vote. Otherwise, it's like it's just a
yeah,
sham.
yeah. At the end, the vote actually has to be like it has to work the way it's designed to work, where like you get the change that you want, like real material change.
But like local elections have less votes than like national elections, right?
The thing, yeah, but it's that's naturally the local election will have less, but
But like the local ones is where your votes matter more,
yes,
because your
and that's
national one is the one
Yeah,
that doesn't.
yeah, and that's almost like a observed trait. The more local you are, the more your vote will actually correspond to something real. And the most effective it ever actually is if you're like part of like a if you think you're part of like a professional group of representations, like maybe you're fucking part of like if you're all voting to select like the next lead of if you're all like doctors and you're all voting to select the next head of whatever surgery department, that's usually the most effective because everybody knows what the fuck they're doing, right? They know what goes into the tray, they know what they're voting for, they know what's effective. You can't bullshit them. And then B, like the focus is narrow enough that you can actually pick out someone that's fit for the job, and it actually works out, right? And what you notice is if you spread that, the more you spread that, the less it becomes effective in a way. You almost have to like overly invest some sort of like political capital or even just systemic mechanized sort of like procedure to try to force a widespread vote to actually get someone that you want, right? And you can see how easily you can just fucking do away with all that. You just say, fuck it. Or just pour a lot of money and shit or whatever. Lobby hard. Then it's easy. It's like a fucking house of cards. And the vote just quickly means nothing anymore.
It's also like you have to consider like why people vote, right? Because like some people vote for change and some people vote for maintaining the status quo, and some people don't vote for the same reasons. So like if your country or like your city or your neighborhood is running really well, like why are you voting? Like who's running the place, you're just like, oh yeah, they're fine. Like I'm not gonna vote to change anything. I'm just gonna like live my whole life because they're doing a good job, and I assume they're doing a good job. So why would anyone want change?
Yeah.
So they don't go vote.
I mean, of course.
Wouldn't it be great if you have a vote subscription where once you voted for this guy or say this party once, then it will just vote for you automatically?
No.
That way you don't have to always have to come back.
No. That's fucking stupid.
That way, voting apathy it wouldn't be so low if people's vote was automatically renewed.
What the fuck's the point?
There would be so much identity theft in that model. Like they would steal your identity once, and then now like next year, like next election, let's say like, hey Brian, you already voted, and you're like, no I didn't, and you're like, yeah, your vote is right here.
You can
and
change
you have to
your
go
vote.
through like, no.
Yeah, but
I'm saying
it's so much
somebody
of a
else.
hassle to change your vote too.
Yeah,
people
like
don't-
somebody
Yeah,
was
it's not much of a
direct
hassle at
ID.
all, man. You just
It
have to
is,
fucking get up
for
and
the
do it.
average person, it would be a hassle to go and change your vote. Whereas you could do nothing and already vote for whoever you voted for last time.
Yeah. It's just- it really
Consider
does
what it
nothing.
would take to like change your vote. You'd have to bring in like 10 pieces of ID. Otherwise, like votes would get changed all the time, and nobody would be able to verify it.
Oh, I see what you're
Right.
saying. It's
Like
the
even
verification.
people like unsubscribing to like an email thing.
Ugh.
It's like a click of a button usually, but people are too lazy to do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's how they know that too.
You're actually creating more work for people for that. I think This is an observation I had, but it was mostly like when the vote, like you said, where it's more of like a reactionary, or if people enjoy the status quo, right now they wouldn't vote. I mean, the ironic thing is the vote is actually like the most, I guess, the most representative when you're kind of voting for status quo shit. Like the vote naturally is like it's kind of skews towards the either status quo or even just reactionary elements because it's just the way it's structured. It's meant as you know, you as a pressure valve more than some vehicle of change, right? Votes, I mean, like it would be hard pressed to find a common thing in the world where votes end up giving you like a revolutionary result more than just either status quo or even just a reactionary result. I mean, I would argue that the more you need to change something, the less effective the vote actually does become in practice.
Hmm. I see where you're going with that. I agree. Because, like, how I understand that is even if there was a revolution and 80% of people voted like the opposite way, they're just going to call it like a no election, right? They're just going to redo it. And that happens all the time throughout the world. If some revolutionary figure tries to win democratically, they'll just be like, no vote, we're going to do it again, and we're going to jail that guy. So you're going to have to pick somebody else to run the campaign against the status quo.
It is. You're playing against the house, and right, you're always going up against the house if you are supposed to be the candidate of change, and the house pretty much always wins according to the house rules.
Right. So the only way you can actually express that you're not happy with the status quo is say, hey, I'm not going to vote. And if like you have a country that has free election and 90% of people don't vote, and the general population is like, hey, my life kind of sucks, and 90% of the people don't want to vote for any of these two candidates, their life probably sucks too. So maybe that's a sign that, hey, we should all unite together and like do something about it.
Not
Right.
voting doesn't work though.
Yeah,
People-
not voting itself won't really do anything, but when you get something, when you get like a mass effect of that magnitude, then other options open up. Because if you think about those 90% of people, if just a significant portion of them they don't even go the violent way, but they just go on strike. All of a sudden, you bring everything to its knees, right? I mean, like, if you imagine 90% dissatisfaction, and they develop that that class consciousness, like that would be dangerous to the establishment at that point, right? That would be a nightmare for them.
Yeah, because they don't know who to target. It's just like
Exactly. It's
nobody's
too much
voting, so
people.
who do we go?
Yeah,
like
it's too much
who are we
people.
where's the focus gonna be?
And
And,
they-
then
And they get them by the balls too, right? Because if you fucking stop the country from running, you like even just stopping the trains, that's a fucking. Then you're like, what are you gonna do? You're fucked, right? And if you think about like a wide swath of society and all the different industries you can affect, if you had that much of a dissatisfaction, that would be more effective than the vote would be, especially in that revolution, in that context of either revolution or significant reform. That's when you kind of get them to that table. It's like you got you by the balls, and like we didn't have to go to the point of revolution, but now like the establishment would be more willing to go onto the table to negotiate because the material interests are all threatened.
and I think that's why like all dictatorships, they force their population to vote, and you can only vote one way. So at the end of the election, it always shows that the majority is content with the status quo, and nobody can identify whether that's true or not. So you live in Korea, you're just like, oh, like I don't know if I'm the only one that's discontent because everyone else voted for, Kim, and then Kim's a good guy.
Here's the thing I would argue though, like, see, North Korea works because the majority of the population would actually want him in power for this time being. So, because that population, if you think about that history of Korea in its whole, that is the most traditional Korean country out of the two. Like that country hasn't gone out of like the old fucking Chosun dynasty sort of mechanic where they're not hesitant to let power go, be descended by primogeniture, right? By father to son to grandson and all that. It's just like Chosun Korea, right? I mean, like, and if you compare it to like other places where it's like a kind of like a sham dictatorship, but you can tell they're not going well because, yeah, the dictator president got 90% of the vote, but people are rioting, as opposed to Korea where fucking Kim Jong Un gets 90 whatever percent of the vote. There's no riots, right? And the army is supports the country, it supports the guy in one country, the other army doesn't support the other guy in the other country, and there's a possibility of a military coup like in fucking Belarus or Ukraine or shit like that. Yeah, I mean you can tell like it's not enough just to trying to trick people into fucking believing these things. The people in these countries, for a dictatorship to prosper, he actually needs to do enough to keep people fucking happy. At like the bare minimum, to keep people from rebelling, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was the same in Saudi Arabia too. I mean, when Salman came into power, his predecessor also had troubles from the Arab Spring, and people were fucking kind of rioting and out. But at the end, he was like, he cut out a check for every single Saudi citizen, right? That was fucking enough. He bought them off till then.
Yep, and that is like circling back to your like initial point, Brian. That's the hardest part, getting the followers, right? Like you can invent your own religion, but like how are you gonna get these people to follow you like in perpetuity, right? Forever.
Yeah, Brian, you gotta learn from Kim Jong Un.
Yeah, because like you want to try the American way, but it's tough. It's much easier to just be a dictator and try and
Yeah, I need to amass my own military forces.
yeah, blind faith. Well, Kim is a god in Korea, so that's a good example.
Oh, I don't need to be a god. I don't know if I would want to be.
Yeah, you're too minimalist for that. Being a god is not a minimalist lifestyle. Anyways,
I don't know. Well, like, what does Jesus own though? Wasn't he? He seems pretty minimalist. He only had like one set of clothing, right?
Yeah, but he had to fucking die in the end, right?
Yeah, but
that was how
came
he
back.
propelled the. Yeah, he came back. Yeah, for
It
sure,
didn't take
man.
him long.
Yeah,
It didn't take him long.
no, yeah, for sure. He only had one respawn though. He didn't come back a second, third time.
You didn't find a need to, I guess.
And if you don't make any money, you don't pay any taxes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yep,
doesn't
that's
have to pay
how-
for shit.
That's what Amazon does.
Anyways, anybody else had anything else to add? No.
Well, as you know, hockey's back. I've been watching the game, and
How
I
are
was
we
also
doing?
playing Fall Guys during this whole, well, mostly during the political talks. But no, the Flames are down 2-1 right now.
Fuck. All right. I see.
Spoiler alert. Yes.
They need more support.
All right. Whatever. Anyways, well, I guess we'll just wrap this up then. It's kind of going on long. Anyways, Phil.
You guys ran late.
It was a pleasure to have you with us, and
Thank you guys. It's an honor to be invited.
come back on again
Yes,
whenever you
appreciate it.
can.
Sure. When Brian lets me know instead of leaving me hanging.
Did you want to plug anything or anything? You had like I heard you had a Twitch channel.
I do, but I'm not into plugging myself. I like people to find me organically. But if you guys want to check it out later for when Brian's ready to play me in chess, I'll share
Oh.
it at that point in time.
Yeah,
Still
Brian.
trying to learn the fried liver attack.
Brian, we had actually a couple of requests for you to play Phil in chess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out when.
Oh, what's that from Addy?
Yeah. Adrian James. They specifically requested me to request this of Brian.
Oh,
Your,
Brian,
audience, this will be
it's
bigger
been
than the
requested
Mike
on
Tyson
stream.
fight.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. Set it up. Pay-per-view.
Yeah, it has to be a pay-per-view to get Brian to show up.
Fucking cheap
Indeed.
ass motherfucker. Do it for free.
There's like as big as Logan Paul fighting so and so.
All right. All right.
Okay.
I guess we'll just
Thanks,
sign
guys,
off.
for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. Come on anytime. And all our viewers, you know the deal. If
Listeners.
sorry, yeah, you know the deal.
One day there'll be viewers.
Fucking
Don't
dream.
make promises you can't keep.
Well, that's what we always do. We talk about shows we don't watch, and
You
Promise.
you talk about shows you don't watch.
well, you've been following my suit as well. So
How about to our listeners, let us know on Twitter if you want to see Brian washing dishes. And then if you do, then we'll have another spin-off podcast.
Oh my god, yeah.
We'll rig his place full of cameras, and we'll have our own little Truman Show.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I think people would be annoyed the way I wash dishes.
I think it'd
I
be
can see
fun.
it.
I think there'd be psychopaths watching you.
It's like, is that how you hold a knife while you wash dishes?
You would have to be a
Hold it by the
psychopath to
blade.
watch you do that shit. All right, thanks everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Tune in next time. Until then, stay safe.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
Yeah.
Nice.